Look like the ESPN reporter has just dropped some major information about Caitlyn Clark and everybody in the WNBA 2026 season. Guys, we got to talk.
We absolutely need to talk about what is happening right this second. An ESPN reporter has just unleashed an absolute bombshell report that has the potential to completely obliterate the entire 2026 WNBA season. And no, I am not exaggerating in the slightest. The clock is ticking down to the absolute wire. The league's collective bargaining agreement, the very document that allows basketball to be played, is set to expire tonight at exactly 11:59. And from every single piece of reporting we're hearing, the two sides, the owners and the players, are not just far apart, they are nowhere close to a deal. It's a total stalemate. Nobody can agree on the fundamental issue. This perilous situation puts the entire unprecedented momentum generated by Caitlyn Clark in mortal danger. It is at immediate risk of being completely snuffed out by a lockout that, frankly, the owners seem more than willing to let happen. Just think about that for a second. The Caitlyn Clark effect, a singular phenomenon, single-handedly brought millions of new fans into the world of women's basketball. And now the league itself seems poised to light that entire incredible movement on fire, all because of bitter, entrenched disputes over money. And let's be completely honest here, this is also about pure, unadulterated ego.
Jonathan, you make decisions, marketing. I want people watching. I want eyeballs. I want advertising dollars. Why? Because he'll get paid. Y'all will get paid. And guess who else will get paid? You see where I'm coming from? That's what it's about. Stop acting. Otherwise, we know this. You don't sit up there.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Do you really believe the WNBA will actually go through with a lockout and intentionally destroy every single thing that Caitlyn Clark has built for this league over the past year? I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments, because this situation is getting incredibly serious. ESPN's Alexa Philippou has just laid out the absolute nightmare scenarios that the WNBA is staring down the barrel of as its current collective bargaining agreement ticks relentlessly toward expiration. That deadline, remember, hits at 11:59 p.m. Eastern tonight. As I'm recording this, we are talking mere hours away from the cliff's edge. And the potential outcomes? Well, they range from simply bad to utterly catastrophic. Every single one of them threatens to completely derail the incredible, once-in-a-generation wave of momentum that Caitlyn Clark has generated for women's basketball. Let's actually break down the 4 possible scenarios that Philippou outlined, because you need to understand what is truly at stake here to grasp just how badly the WNBA owners are fumbling this historic golden opportunity. Okay, scenario 1. The cleanest, most logical solution would be for an extension to be agreed upon by both the league and the players. This would essentially keep the lights on and allow basketball to continue while they hammer out the finer details behind the scenes. But here's the massive, glaring problem with that seemingly simple idea. If they were going to agree on something so straightforward, it would have been done days, if not weeks ago. The fact that we are just hours away from the deadline with nothing but deafening silence from both camps tells you everything you need to know. Nobody is willing to budge. The owners are digging in, refusing to give up ground, and the players are absolutely fed up with getting the short end of the stick in every single negotiation. Now on to scenario 2. No extension gets signed, and the league and the Players Association enter what's called a status quo period. This basically means the old rules and working conditions stay in place while they continue to talk. Philippou was incredibly careful to point out that this doesn't automatically trigger a work stoppage. But let's call this scenario what it really is. It's just kicking the can down the road. It's a flimsy temporary band-aid on a massive, deep wound, and it does absolutely nothing to address the fundamental, deep-seated problems that created this standoff in the first place. Then we get to scenario 3. And this is the one that should absolutely terrify every single fan. A work stoppage happens. This could manifest as a strike called by the players or, what's considered far more likely, a lockout initiated by the owners. This, my friends, is the nuclear option. This is the scenario that kills the Caitlyn Clark effect dead in its tracks and has the devastating potential to set women's basketball back an entire decade. Think about it. If fans tune in for the 2026 season expecting to see their new favorite players lighting up the court, and instead they find locked arena doors and canceled games, they are not coming back. Let's be crystal clear about this. Casual fans do not wait around for labor disputes to get resolved. They just move on to the countless other entertainment options available at their fingertips. And finally, scenario 4, they somehow, against all odds, pull a rabbit out of a hat and agree to a brand new CBA before the deadline. But Philippou made it painstakingly clear that all signs point to this being completely off the table. It is a total fantasy at this point. The gap between what the owners are offering and what the players rightfully feel they deserve is simply too wide to bridge in the few precious hours they have left, and the context surrounding all of this makes it an even bigger impending disaster. The WNBA has major, unmovable deadlines fast approaching. A 2-team expansion draft for the brand new Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo is on the calendar. You have to remember, those franchises paid enormous expansion fees expecting to build rosters and actually play basketball. What happens to their massive investment if there's a work stoppage? Do they just sit on their hands and hope the lockout ends before their entire inaugural season gets wiped off the map, and then there's the free agency bomb? All but two of the league's veteran players are about to hit free agency. This was supposed to be the most active, game-changing free agency period in WNBA history. Teams were supposed to be reshaping their rosters and building championship contenders. But without a CBA in place, none of that can happen. Players can't sign new contracts. Teams can't make trades. The entire league just freezes in place, a monument to its own dysfunction.
Is this happening without Caitlyn Clark? Without the popularity? Because we've seen what happened to the ratings when she was out for those 2-3 weeks. Remember that, right? Don't let me bring that up. Don't let me get some receipts now. When Caitlyn Clark was out, the WNBA's popularity dissipated. That is a fact. Ticket prices, television ratings, it's a fact. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. That's not to throw shade on a product and act like it doesn't grow at all. It's not to say that there was an improvement and there wasn't an elevation in its popularity. It's just saying that it's on another dimension when it comes to Caitlyn Clark. Do you know what the best thing that could happen for the WNBA is right now? Are you ready for this? If Caitlyn Clark and the Fever win the championship. If that girl...
And this entire chaotic mess brings up an absolutely critical question, one that even the most dedicated people who cover this league for a living are struggling to answer. What in the world happens to the WNBA draft if there's a lockout? Just stop and think about the implications for a second. Does the draft lottery, an event that generates so much buzz and excitement, even happen? Or what about the draft itself? Do they go ahead and hold it, selecting all of these incredible college stars who then find themselves in a bizarre limbo where they can't sign a contract, can't report to their new teams, and, most importantly, can't even get paid? The logistical nightmare of a work stoppage goes so far beyond just canceling a few games on the schedule. We are talking about a complete and total shutdown that affects every single facet of the league's operations, a self-inflicted wound that could jeopardize the very future it's supposed to be building.
This is the most popular women's basketball player in the world, and it ain't close. They had to move the Mystic game to an NBA arena. Name the time. And I'm going to turn it over to you because I don't want to get long-winded. I want somebody, one of our women colleagues, Stephen A., to tell me when a WNBA game has had to be moved because of a woman player. Just one. Just tell me one. Because I know in her attendance, she's averaging about 17,000. All the other WNBA games in which she's not a participant average about 7. So are we really trying to go to game? Is that what we're really trying to do? Or are we just talking about we're trying to grow the game and just bullshit?
Let's be honest for a moment. She is the entire reason that millions of casual fans even started paying attention to the WNBA in the first place. Clark delivered viewership numbers that the league hadn't seen in decades. She sold out entire arenas not just for her home games, but on the road across the entire country. She single-handedly transformed women's basketball into must-see, appointment television for people who had literally never watched a single game before in their lives. The Caitlyn Clark effect wasn't just media hype. It was real. It was quantifiable. And it was unbelievably valuable to the league's bottom line. But here is the critical thing about momentum. Especially when you're dealing with a brand new casual audience, it is incredibly fragile. We're not talking about die-hard fans who will stick with the league through thick and thin. We are talking about the millions of people who tuned in because Clark was electrifying to watch and the games were finally accessible. If those same people expect to see her play in 2026 and instead find out the entire season is canceled because a bunch of millionaire owners and players couldn't agree on how to split a rapidly growing pile of money, they are gone. Period. They will find other sports, other Netflix shows, other ways to spend their time and their money. The owners are making a catastrophic miscalculation if they think for 1 second they can just lock out the players and expect all these new fans to wait around patiently. Sports fans have notoriously short attention spans and nearly unlimited entertainment options, and what makes this whole situation so infuriating is that the WNBA was finally making real money. For decades, this was a league that was consistently losing money, kept afloat only by subsidies from the NBA. Then Caitlyn Clark arrived, and the entire business model flipped on its head. Television ratings absolutely exploded. Merchandise sales went to the moon. Ticket sales went through the roof. Corporate sponsors that had ignored the league for years were suddenly lining up with huge checks. And what is the owner's response to finally having a profitable, growing product? It seems to be to risk destroying it entirely by refusing to share those profits fairly with the very players who made it all possible. It is a level of short-sighted greed that could genuinely kill the golden goose for good, and the timing of this potential lockout could not possibly be worse for another huge reason. Alternative leagues like Unrivaled Basketball are circling like sharks that smell blood in the water. They are actively positioning themselves to snatch up WNBA talent. Unrivaled is offering competitive salaries, shorter seasons, and better working conditions. They are ready to swoop in and start signing players the second the WNBA locks them out, and don't mistake these for some fly-by-night operations. Some of these alternative leagues have serious financial backing and legitimate business plans. They are not going away. If the WNBA plunges into a lockout and star players start signing with Unrivaled, what happens when the lockout finally ends? Do those players just come back? The entire competitive landscape is shifting, and a lockout hands all the leverage to the competition on a silver platter. This brings us back to the expansion situation, as it reveals just how dysfunctional this all is. Portland and Toronto paid massive expansion fees based on projections of growth driven almost entirely by the Caitlyn Clark effect. Those cities are hiring staff, marketing their new teams, and building fan bases from scratch. And their reward might be having their inaugural seasons canceled before a single player even steps on the court. It's an absolute slap in the face. Now, let's also be fair and look at this from the player's perspective for a moment. WNBA players have been criminally underpaid for decades relative to the revenue they generate. They've been flying commercial while their NBA counterparts get charter flights. They've been playing overseas in their off-season just to make a livable salary. Now that the league is finally flushed with cash, they want their fair share. That's not unreasonable. It's basic economics. The problem is, by risking a work stoppage, they're also risking the very momentum that gave them this leverage in the first place. The 30-day extension that got us to this point was supposed to force a compromise. But instead, it has become a high-stakes game of chicken, where neither side wants to blink first. And through all of this, Caitlyn Clark just sits and waits. She can't control these negotiations. She can only watch as the league that finally embraced her threatens to squander the entire phenomenon she created. Her personal brand will survive a lockout. She has massive endorsement deals, but the WNBA as an institution might not. The league needs Clark infinitely more than Clark needs the league at this point, and the owners are on the verge of destroying everything she built. So, what do you think? Will they reach a deal at the 11th hour, or are they really going to let it all collapse? Let me know your prediction in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe for more updates on this developing crisis.